Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's up, guys?
Welcome to the Double Chin Show.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and today we're going to address more of your questions. Again, if you want to ask us a question, make sure you message us on Facebook or YouTube. Never post it directly on the comments because then we might miss it.
And thank you to all of you who have sent in questions. We try to get to them. We get to all of them, but
chronologically.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard yours yet, doesn't mean we won't get to it, but later on.
Right.
And we got a lot of love from you guys telling us how much you appreciate us doing this. So we love doing it.
Yep. So let's get this started.
If this is your first time watching, we keep everybody's anonymous.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to put your business, your name out there.
All right, first of all, this is from a girl. She says, can you guys talk a little about religion and dating and physical intimacy, especially in New York? So this person was raised as a Christian in the Midwest and found it pretty hard to find like-minded people who wants to save themselves for marriage.
Yep.
She has
especially in New York City.
Right, and she has been told it's impossible to find a partner in the city if you aren't willing to compromise on that. Your thoughts?
First of all, obviously, because she's watched our video, so she knows that you were raised in a Midwest.
Very similar background.
Very similar. At one point, you were a Christian. And you held fast to those strict dating rules about saving yourself for marriage. And I think that it's really hard in New York City. It's not impossible, but it's really hard. But I think there are definitely like-minded people out there.
I'm in a similar situation. I grew up with a similar background,
right,
and I had similar values.
Right.
And I'll tell you this right now. I still uphold this strict dating rule for myself.
Right, which is like one of the rarest things you
can
find
I'm
today.
saving myself for marriage. I think people who are able to stick to that, there's no shame in that.
There's no shame.
People. It's just because some people are like, oh, what are you, a prude? Oh, what are you like? You're so uptight. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about your values, about what you believe in. It's about you setting a standard for yourself and you sticking to it. There's nothing shameful or embarrassing about that. You know, today's media, they're like, they try to kind of like make fun of you. Like when Jonas Brothers, they had the little chastity rings, whatever. People are like, oh, these guys. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Right.
People have their own beliefs.
This came up for me as well. Like previously, when I was getting out of a relationship and before getting into another relationship, you know, my friends wanted to set me up with some friends.
Right.
And one of the first things I was like, hey, you know, this issue for me, like, they're gonna have to be okay with this. And right off the bat, they were like, yeah, that's not gonna work for them. And I was like, you know what? That's not gonna work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was fine. You gotta be, there's something to be said about being very, very self-disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's a lost thing today. But people in the past can do it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just like keeping your promises. Also, you know, being disciplined in your own actions and behavior and emotions. Like, if you can be somebody that the rest of the world, you know, 99.5% of the world aren't, that's a huge accomplishment.
Right, and
already.
there's nothing wrong with that, and there's no reason why anyone should put you down for that.
Absolutely.
And also, dating in New York City, I'm in New York City.
Yeah.
I'm facing the same situation.
Right.
This is harder, but you still can do it. And also, like you said, this is who I am. If you can't accept that, then we don't need to be dating.
Right. Two suggestions I have. One is do not lose faith, because you will find people out there. I mean, Mike's a great example. I'm an example. Like, I'm in a relationship, but if I wasn't, I'd be totally fine with putting that fact out there. So my second suggestion is knowing the landscape of NYC, you should probably put the fact out there at some point and not let it kind of be like this secret white elephant in the room. Don't just come out. Be like, hey, these are really important to me. So if you think that's not all right, then, you know.
Yeah, and really I'm sick of this culture where it's all about not just on the belt, like how many conquests.
Oh,
like,
horrible.
Look,
it's horrible.
That's not me, that's not you. If people can't accept that, you know what, then we don't need to be around.
Absolutely.
That's it. To find different friends. Like, like from what she's kind of saying is, because she's kind of asking us almost like, should she relent?
Yeah.
I guess to these conditions? No.
Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I mean, in New York City, out of all the boroughs, Jersey included, I mean, you got 8 to 10 million people. Half of them are women, a third of them are children. I mean, a third of them are adults.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
So anyway, you're not alone in this. All right, dear Mike and Dan, subscribe to Off the Great Wall for a long time.
Okay, so basically this girl is saying she grew up in Europe and she's second generation, and she wants to like please her parents. So something that's been bothering her, and we talk about this a lot, something that's hard for me is how to handle not wanting to go against your parents' wishes while wanting to make your own decisions, which leads me to my question. And her question is, I'm currently a sophomore in college, and there's this guy I've been seeing, as far as I'm concerned, just a friend for a while. So they're friends, they're hanging out. I honestly didn't intend for us to be more than that, because first of all, I know my parents would not disapprove because he's not Asian.
Would disapprove.
Well, I'm sorry, would disapprove because he's not Asian.
Right.
Okay, and she still has the mindset of not dating someone unless she can picture herself ending up marrying them.
Which is
however, she quite recently, so recently he let her know that he wants to date her, and she says they have a lot of fun together and they can talk about literally everything and they get along, blah, blah, blah. And so anyways, she's basically saying that he wants a relationship, even though in her mind, here's the key, she doesn't want to make her parents mad, and she doesn't really picture herself with him long term. Should she still explore the relationship?
I think the key thing is she said this one sentence. She says, "But I enjoy spending time with him, but I can't imagine for us to last as a couple in the long run."
And the reason is because he's not Asian, because she knows the parents would be against it. So that's the main reason. So she's saying, is that a legitimate reason?
Well, we talked about this before.
Right.
We've said this. We said this many times. We said, look, this is your life, and whether you want to be with someone or not, that should be about what you want. But again, this is not easy. The parents are going to come down with the pressure. Are you? The question is for you, not for him. The question is, do you think you're strong enough to stand against that pressure and do what you feel like you want for your life, and not what your parents want? Right.
So absolutely. First of all, you've got to figure out what her tolerance level is with the pressure, right? If you're the type of person that's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to, like, this is not gonna continue. So then don't even start it.
Don't start it.
But if you're like, you know what, I respect my parents, but this is my life. If this guy treats me well, I want to explore something. Then you can do it.
Right.
Because I've been through this before. You know, when you first meet somebody, and you get those butterflies, right? And you're like, man, we can talk about everything. Like she says, we have so much fun together. After me and you have been in a lot of relationships, that's like every feeling when something's new. So to me, I don't let those feelings anymore tell me whether or not this is right. I'm more practical now. Because in the beginning of a relationship, you can always talk about stuff. If you can't, you're not gonna go on a second date. So those are a given. Like, you really got to start looking at long term, which she's already doing. So I think that's a good step.
Compatibility is key.
Definitely.
Is key. All right, the next question comes to us. This is a person who grew up in a single mother household. And the mother works a lot, but the father figure was not there.
Right.
And he's basically asking, he's like in the latter part of his college career, how to, I guess, the reality, he says, is
sinking in, because he wants to know how to be more of a man, quote unquote. Because he wants to. We touch upon this. He wants to support his mom, but also he wants to, maybe get a good job and all that stuff. Get a, eventually.
That's sort of borderline, kind of where you going through right now.
Yeah, he mentions, like I had a dad, but my parents divorced late at the age when I was 18. And they basically went off, and I was by myself. But my whole life, my dad and I were nice to each other, and we sent each other emails and stuff. But we don't have a very close relationship, and he was never sort of like a father figure ever. So my mom had to be both. So for me, like, I knew that, and that's one of the things I said. I will not let this thing determine who I am in the future. I will strive to do what my father couldn't do. In that end, and also at the same time, like, kind of live my life. So I think that it is a scary world out there, but I guess in terms of like the competitiveness of the real world, it's there. You went through it. I went through it. I mean, it's not as scary as it sounds, and it depends on what your industry is. Some industries are more competitive than others, but I would say don't lose hope and just start, put things into motion, work on your resume. Don't worry about the competition. I always tell people that. There's always going to be competition. If something is yours, it's going to be yours, but you got to just do the preparation and the work to get there.
Taking care of somebody, I think as long as you have the mentality that, you're fully functional adult.
Right.
And don't have the thought of, anything is beneath me. Like, I won't do this because I think I'm much more than that. You do whatever you need to be a responsible person. I think that's the key thing about responsibility is being not a deadbeat, but like somebody who's like willing to do whatever it takes to support the people that they love.
Right.
Next, we have this person who's basically asking us, if you're a shy guy, what do you do when you like a girl? I think this is a girl asking this question.
Right.
Right?
Yep, it's a girl.
So she's basically asking, well, what's a shy guy do when they like a girl? Probably because maybe there's a shy guy that might like her.
Okay.
And she's kind of asking, like, what do they do? Well, we addressed this before. Like, shy guys, what do? They don't talk to you directly. They talk to your friends. They maybe try to be around you as much as they can. They give you glances and they look away really shyly. But here's the thing. Those are all things that shy guys exhibit. But there will come a time where if you like this guy or he likes you or whatever, you need to go do something about it.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just going to be like that for years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people ask us that all the time. They're like, I'm really attracted to this Asian guy. And of course, by nature, Asian guys are very shy.
Yes.
And we're like, there's no point to wait. And just it's just at some point you got to bring it up.
Yeah.
But what if that was from an actual guy? Because I was reading it over again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we're not going to say the name, but we're not, we're not sure
the gender of the name.
The gender of the name.
Right.
So I would say if they're saying I'm shy, how do I? Well, I mean, you got to
bite the bullet.
You got to not care about what people think.
Yeah.
You got to not care about falling flat on your face, and you got to remember, when you're young, you think that it's the end of the world if you fail at talking to the opposite sex. If you get this is what young people consider fails, right? We consider like getting fired, not making a mortgage payment. They're like, if a girl says no, guys, it's nothing in your wrinkle of time of your life. That means literally nothing. And if you let it, it will keep you from being outgoing. But if you don't, you will see it as a necessary step to get to become a person that's a little more open.
Also, I guarantee you this, as you grow older, there are things you're going to look back and reflect on. And you're always going to think about, you're never going to think about the times that you failed at something. You're going to think about times that you missed the opportunity of something.
Absolutely.
That's what you're wondering, because those are question marks. Yep. Anything that has a solidified closure, it's closure, it's done. You can think back on it, you're like, okay, I tried it, this is what happened. Right. Whenever you start thinking about the question marks, that's when scenarios start playing in your head.
Absolutely.
Don't be like that. You go for it in either case.
All right. This question comes to us from a girl. And she's basically saying she's a girl living in the UK, lived there most of her life. She loves art, anime, and illustration. A lot of Asian guys and girls love to do that. Art is what she wants to do when she's older. However, the Asian parents usually find art and creative subjects, they kind of look down upon it.
Of course.
They have the traditional mindset of a typical Asian parent, of course. They want her to be a doctor, dentist, lawyer, etc. But she thinks she doesn't have the brain to do so. Or interest.
She's artistic.
Yeah. I try to explain to them that there are good jobs out there for creative people, but they won't listen. All my friends and teachers, all of them are Western, tell me to follow my dream, but they don't understand the Asian culture. Even my headmaster spoke to my parents about it, but they laughed it off. So now she's applying to college, and the parents are like, they want her to be like engineer, doctor, medicine, whatever, law, but she's really embarrassed because she wants to tell them that she wants to be an artist.
And she's saying that she's going back to China. Her cousins are doing honorable subjects like medicine, business, and law. Honorable. What should I do when they ask?
Dude, I'll be the first person to say, here's the thing. It's not like, we live in 2015. It is not like before, okay? Yeah. There are some great high-paying jobs in the art world.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, graphic design, product design, marketing, branding, like concept design. I mean, design, we're not talking about, see, when Asian parents hear art, they think that you're going to be they think a painter. They think you're going to be Vincent van Gogh, who only sold like one painting in his life, and he was poor his whole entire life. No. Okay, it's like Asian parents haven't followed the times. You know what's hard to get a job now? Lawyer. You know what's hard to get a job? Doctor. Oh, by the way, after you are $300,000 in debt at a law school, mind you got to go to some of the best law school in the country, you're going to be so much in debt that who cares if you're making 120 grand a year, because you're going to be paying student loans for like the next 15 years.
Well, also she's saying she doesn't really have the mind for those things.
That's another thing
Like, for example, when I went to college, my dad forced me to become a computer science major. I couldn't
come on, you.
I couldn't like program. I had to cheat off my friend Michael Kim's homework like the whole 2 years to even get a passable grade.
Thanks, Michael Kim.
Like, thank you, buddy. Sorry, Dr. Harvey. But I'm saying, like, what are you going to tell your cousins? Don't feel embarrassed about that.
Don't.
There's no, like, laughable occupation
There isn't any.
in the world. Like, you can be whatever you want to be, and everything should be acceptable. Were you going to lie to them and be like, yeah, I'm a lawyer, but then like, a couple years later, you graduate with, like, an art degree?
Right.
They're going to find out eventually, so tell them the truth. Be proud of it. Tell them what you want to do. Seems like you're really good at illustrations. You know how much people make being let's say a comic book artist? How much they make being designing for a video game? These are all very, very awesome jobs. The next question comes to us from a woman. She's engaged to a Westerner. She's basically saying that her mother raised her. Her mother's very Westernized, but she's very upset now because she's marrying somebody who is not Chinese.
Okay.
And basically she's becoming abusive verbally. And basically abandon her as a daughter. So her question is, in a Chinese wedding ceremony, how do you address the fact that the bride's parents or family is not present?
Oh, wow. I mean, dude, wow. Okay, so, I mean, that's taken it to the next step. Because I've had family members where, again, I mentioned this before, my family has married outside of Asian race. And their mothers have been really unhappy. And they were like, this guy makes me happy. He's awesome. So I'm like, yes. And I met the guy. I love the guy. He's an amazing guy. He's Western. He's Greek. Yeah. So, but her mother didn't disown her.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the relationship is a little rockier. Right. But in this case, if a parent has the ability to disown someone, I'd be like, okay, well, peace out. I mean,
I think that's what she's doing. So she's going on with the wedding.
Yeah.
So in a traditional wedding ceremony, it depends on where you're from. Like Cantonese have a different wedding ceremony, so do Fujianese, so do mainland, let's say Northerner as well. I don't know which group you belong to, but there are cases where the bride's family just aren't there.
Right.
And sometimes when that happens, I've seen people put a picture up, and when they bow to the parents, they bow to the picture as a sign of respect.
Right.
I've seen incense.
Right.
That's in the traditional, like Bai Tiandi, like you bow to the ancestors, right?
In the heavens.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what I've seen in traditional wedding ceremonies, but it's not a huge deal. And it's not the end of the world if your parents or family is not there in terms of the ceremony wise.
Right. After a while, your parents might actually be like, sorry, we're really sorry we acted like that and this guy turned out to be really good. And then you might reconcile. But you can't let that stop you, in terms of living your life.
Wow. So the next one is also about the parents in interracial dating. So this girl is dating a white guy. Wow. So basically the pressure that she's feeling is that I either give up on my boyfriend or lose my family. But the person she's dating doesn't get it because he's thinking, well, you're legally able to make choices for yourself, then what is the big deal?
Again, we see this so many times because you're really, and we understand this, you're really torn because you feel like you're going against your almost like your religion, right? Your beliefs, because your beliefs are, I should respect my parents' wishes and this and that. But we gotta forget it. We gotta remember one thing, okay? Respecting and taking care of your parents is not doing things 100% of what they want. It's not.
Also, what she's asking is there a win-win in this situation in which I don't lose my boyfriend, I don't rebel against my family? Look, there's not gonna be a win-win in this situation. It's either or in terms of you make the decision. Whether you love the guy so much, you're willing to do whatever to be with him.
Right.
Or you subject yourself to your parents and do whatever they say.
I gotta throw something out there. Yeah. If it is this dire, where you're like, ooh, it's either this guy or them, I would take a step back because first of all, like, I would do it for someone who totally, like, for me, they need to understand my situation. They need to know what I'm going through so that I feel like it's worth it. Like we have that really deep connection where they knew what I gave up for them. Do you know what I'm saying?
And it has to be somebody who's worth it for you to do
it's
that
gotta,
for.
That's what I'm saying.
This is a huge sacrifice.
It's a huge sacrifice. So it's obviously, I'm sure this is a good guy, but if she's saying he doesn't really get it, well, maybe the first thing you need to do is like, do you understand my family situation? Because if it's this, it might be something you're gonna have. Look, our friends are white. They marry Asian girls. They have stuff coming every month, every day. You know, they have complications all the time. And this is where I really against the parents on this. As a parent, you can never, ever, like one of the biggest thing for a parent is total acceptance of your family. Okay?
Right.
To the point where honestly, like for me, if I had a kid, there's nothing he can do that I would disown them. If my kid was a murderer, they deserve to be in jail, but I would still visit them in jail.
If we were ever put in that situation, like if I was ever in that situation, if I felt this person is worth the sacrifice, I wouldn't even flinch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, that's all the questions we have time for today. Again, keep sending us questions either through YouTube message or Facebook message. Don't put it into comments. We still have a bunch more to get to. Appreciate all the questions coming in.
Guys.
So we'll get to the rest next time. See you later. Peace.